All right, all right. Good evening, everyone. I hope this evening is treating you all well. As a lot of you have already heard, Jordan, our head of PR, our usual AMA host, can't be with us tonight as he is trying to get back to the UK from the United States. And it appears that American Airlines doesn't want to cooperate. He's had 2 flight cancellations, numerous delays so far, but he should be on the plane at this very moment. So if all goes well, he'll be back at his desk tomorrow, and we wish him safe travels. So tonight you are stuck with me. I'm John, and I work in the marketing department, primarily on the social media side of things, but I wear, numerous hats within PCC. I may not have Jordan's, smooth and sultry voice, but I'm great with awkward pauses. So with that being said, here's a quick overview of how this evening is going to unfold. I will provide some quick updates, and then we will hear some announcements from our CEO and co-founder, Eric, as Luke is currently attending a week of events in the UK, which we will touch on more a little bit later on. We have a representative from BilliDrop joining us on stage to discuss where the project stands. And then from there, we will answer the pre-submitted community questions followed by the live AMA. And then at the very end of the AMA, once again, BilliDrop is going to come on stage to make some exciting announcements. So, make sure you stick around for that. So without further ado, we're going to move on to the updates. We have started a weekly series known as the Phoenix Weekly Update that is released every Friday. Jordan gathers top highlights from various departments within PCC and records a brief video discussing them. And then Fiona, our Director of Communications, drafts a Medium article, and I do the graphics and all the final touches on the package before it's released into the wild. If you haven't seen those, you can find them on our Twitter, on our Medium account, and on our YouTube channel, and definitely encourage you guys to check those out. We also put out an infographic last week, which covers our partnership in incubators, breaking down our, initial investment into each project and the secured percentage of profits for each. If you haven't seen it and you want to, it can be found on our Twitter page and in the Discord announcements. For those who haven't noticed, our Discord bot displaying the community treasury holdings is now displaying both AVAX and USDC.E. And it cycles between Fire token value as listed on Trader Joe and Swapsicle. Eric will touch on this a little bit later on, during his updates. But just in case you haven't noticed, those are some recent changes within the Discord. And let's see. Metaverse Week. So as I mentioned, the reason for Luke's absence is that he's attending Metaverse Week in London. And as the name suggests, it's a week-long event featuring the, who's who of the UK crypto scene. Speakers include, numerous House of Lords and House of Commons, members, various tech entrepreneurs, NFT innovators, and the like. So Luke is in very good company at the moment, doing what he does best, which is, networking, establishing promising relationships, and, kind of manifesting the PCC vision. You can check out more about this event at metaverse-week.com. See who's all on the list and who's speaking. It's quite a collection of individuals. And, that's it for my updates. Once Jordan returns, he'll discuss his experience at Consensus 2022, which was hosted by CoinDesk in Austin, Texas, as well as his interviews with Grit Daily, Link2, and a crypto wealth podcast. All should be very interesting. So we're going to move along to the updates from our beloved CEO, Eric. And remember that as soon as he's done with his updates, we're going to invite someone from the BilliDrop team up to discuss a few things. So how are we doing, Eric?
Beloved. I like that term. Beloved CEO and co-founder Eric. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. How's everybody feeling tonight? That's rhetorical because we can't hear you, but just give out your best shout, whatever it is. So, updates from me today. So let's go over a couple of things just to make some generalized announcements, and then we'll hear from our friends at BilliDrop, and we'll get into some pre-submitted questions. The pre-submitted questions, by the way, are the ones that are most frequently starred by the community. So we don't cherry pick these. We don't go through and find out which ones we want to answer and which ones we don't want to answer. We literally go through and look for the most starred questions, and we start from the most. We work our way down. We only do about 10 or 11 questions because it takes a lot of time to get through those pre-submitted questions. So if you have a question in the chat that you want to hear in the next AMA during the announcement section, or pre-submitted questions, make sure you star that so we can get you guys taken care of. John, can you guys hear me okay? I'm on a laptop and on Wi-Fi at the moment. I don't have the best microphone.
Yeah, man, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. I got a message just in the middle of that little bit of a rant there that someone couldn't hear me very well. So I want to make sure that I can be heard as well as possible. I am projecting my voice. I am aware that I'm on a laptop microphone. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I am on Wi-Fi in a hotel at the moment. So hopefully it works out okay. And you guys can hear me all right. Yeah, I'm getting number 2, people saying it's really low. I apologize. I will try to speak up. I'm being about as loud as I can be. The neighbors next to me are going to wonder what the hell's going on. So put on your headphones if you have them. I apologize. I don't have my sexy microphone that I usually have at home. We'll just try and do what we have. And I'm going to speak as loud as I possibly can. So yeah, thanks guys. I'm getting a lot of messages. I'll crank up the volume as much as possible. Perfect. Let me pull back up. I had a document up with all the notes on it. I don't do this all willy-nilly. We do have documentation. All right, so first announcement from me. The markets, everybody, the markets are what they are. They are really down right now, and everyone is sort of affected. I hesitate to use the word suffering because bear markets are part of the cycle, but everyone is in the same condition right now. 6 months since launch, we are a bit battered, a bit bruised, but we are still here, and that's the important thing. We're building things that will help us to thrive in the future. The grand vision and big picture is everything PCC does. The partnerships and the incubators are all part of a big picture. Absolutely nothing is random and everything is planned. If you guys are looking at investments and you're wondering, why in the hell are you guys doing that? I promise there is a reason you probably haven't considered, because we have a goal in mind to achieve something somewhat unified. So everything we do has just a small piece in a puzzle. Think about like a jigsaw puzzle. Everything we do has a small piece of the puzzle to play, and we're working towards that big picture one piece at a time. We could develop it in-house, or we could partner with, or we can invest in other partnerships and start driving innovation that way. So you're going to see a mix of the two. Some things we're building in-house, some things we're going to invest and partner with because it's just easier and quicker as far as getting ROI back to the investors. It's a lot quicker to get somebody partnered rather than try and come up with recreating the wheel on your own. So keep that in mind. As in bear markets, the real thing here is as competition declines, the same amount of work will take us much further in a bear market than it would in a bull market. So right now, a lot of people are getting washed out. And I say people, I mean projects, companies, you name it, they're getting washed out. Right now, we're still here. We're still operating. We're still pushing towards that singular goal and that vision and big picture item that we have in mind. So with that being said, I'm moving on to the next one. Lowering fees. We have lowered the fees for creating nests, and I made a statement about it. This also details our reasoning for keeping the maintenance costs as they are. We hope this has helped a bit. We did lower the fees for claiming. We got a lot of feedback. We're not oblivious to feedback, and we are not ignorant to the fact that, customers do dictate some of the business operations. So we took a lot of feedback over the last few weeks. We decided to lower the fees for claiming, and we kept the maintenance fees the same as they are because, as I pointed out in a post, and I think was announced in an announcement as well, when we first started this project, we wanted maintenance fees to be $20 US dollars, not coin, $20 US dollar value every 90 days. Well, if you look at the price of AVAX and what you're paying in fees, that's still about the same. It's actually a little bit less than $20 every 90 days. So it's staying as is. We're not lowering them anymore. It's not due to the relative cost or value of AVAX. It's due to the fact that we have a initial budget that we set for $20 based in US dollars every 90 days for fees on the nests. So those are not going to be changing anytime soon. They're actually less than what we launched with because of the decline in the value of AVAX over the last few weeks. So I'm going to comment now on the Treasury. As many of you have noticed, and it didn't take long to realize, we moved AVAX from the Treasury into stablecoin. A lot of members have been asking this. Why are we holding in a volatile asset? Well, we frankly have some research and some analysis that indicates that the crypto market is not done going down yet. So we acted on that intelligence and that analysis a few days ago, and we moved all of our treasury as well as our operating expenditure account away from AVAX into stablecoin. So you guys will see that, as John mentioned, in the future reflected as stablecoin and AVAX for treasury, so we can track it appropriately. Nothing has been spent. There are no new investments as of this moment with the investments out of the treasury. So we just transferred value from one to the other, and we're holding it in stable because we believe, based on our analysis and intelligence, that it's going to keep going down over the next week or two. We may buy back in at a lower price and try to reappreciate some of that value, but we have a team of analysts that are looking at the markets as a whole and making recommendations, and we have to trust in the analysis and the projections made by the team members that we've hired to do that. So that's the direction that we got, and that's what we're going to do. So Griffin Kingdom, this is another touchy subject. We were going to announce this in the last week's AMA. We ended up canceling it because of Luke was sick and I was traveling, and it just didn't make sense for us to try and jam one in and have a really unstructured, unorganized AMA. But we did part ways with Griffin Kingdom. This was a decision that was made by both Griffin Kingdom and ourselves. We wish them all the best in all their future endeavors, but I don't think the business proposition at this point made sense. So it was going to be a situation that they had to navigate at some point anyways. Now, so we are no longer associated with them. The big question has been, what's going to happen with the 1,300 round one nests? And I'm afraid I have to give you this very troubling news. We don't know yet. We haven't really decided what we're going to do with those 1,300 nests. We're working on a solution as quickly as we can, but at this moment, we don't have a decision on what's going to be happening with those 1,300 nests. As soon as we have a decision, we'll make an announcement. It most likely will be a Discord announcement, so keep an eye on Discord, and we'll post it in our official Twitter channel as well. So keep an eye on the official Twitter channel and keep an eye on Discord. Discord typically goes first and then Twitter, so if you want to be the first one to get the news, Discord is the preferred place for sharing information with our investors. Next one's going to be Gamery. So there have been a few comments about Gamery over the last week or so. And I'm going to take a moment to repeat what I said on Discord. Many of you may not have seen it. I did have some chat, I think it was in the general chat, around Gamery. So there's been some disparaging sentiment around it because of what their marketing material looks like now and what they're currently structured as. But I want to remind everyone that sometimes companies buy other companies or invest in product from other companies because of the potential that it has in one or two of their own products. For example, I'll bring up an example because as many of you may know from my LinkedIn profile, I used to be in IT architecture and I designed IT solutions. And so I was very plugged in with networking specifically. and it's Cisco systems, HP networking, Juniper networking. I worked in all that stuff. So one of the things that came to mind to really give kind of an analogy here is Cisco systems. So Cisco systems, if you don't know, they develop all the switches and the routers that basically form the backbone of what we call the internet. They also have some really great telecommunications products. They're really well known for their voice and video collaboration suite. So back in, I think it was like 2014 maybe. I'm not 100% on the dates, but it was several years ago. They bought Flip Video. And you guys may remember Flip Video was a competitor to GoPro, and it was a handheld video recording device before cell phones really had in-house, or onboard video processing that would rival a GoPro. So Flip Video was purchased by Cisco. They kept the retail portion of that business going for about 6 to 8 months. I think personally this was just to get rid of warehouse inventory because they bought it and it was there. It was, why not put it on the shelf and try to recover some of it? But ultimately they ended up killing the retail line for Flip Video, and they took the camera software and the camera hardware and they integrated it into their video teleconferencing systems. So think about it like this. Cisco didn't buy Flip Video to sell Flip Video on the shelf as a GoPro competitor. What they bought it for was the camera software and camera hardware technology to integrate into their own products. So I say that to say this: don't judge Gamery on its current website or YouTube videos, which were made long before PCC invested. The potential it offers is much bigger in the big picture. It is a piece of the puzzle that we are using to fill in the big picture. So keep that in mind with Gamery. I know there's been a lot of questions and a lot of sentiment about it. So I just want to make that clear before we have a bunch of AMA questions. And I'll still answer them if you have them, but it's part of a bigger picture. It's not meant to be a standalone product. Just about nothing we do is meant to be a standalone product, like a traditional venture capital where you invest in a certain company or product and that's it. It doesn't have any meaning beyond that. Some of the stuff we're doing has a lot more meaning in a bigger picture than what we've invested in individually. Moving on to the next piece, it's going to be Spectrum NFT. Spectrum is going to be one of the most innovative NFT platforms on the planet. One of the features is its multiple wallet system. I have to say this is revolutionary. No one else is doing this. However, it's also very tricky, technically speaking. That's what's holding up the launch currently. We're ironing out the issues with the multiple wallet system. The website is done and absolutely beautiful. We've had some beta testers selected out of the community and some of the moderators, and they can tell you, I think the feedback has been 100%. Oh my God, this website is amazing. The marketplace looks great. We can't wait to see this thing in action. We have artists lined up and they are absolutely incredible. We are cultivating and curating artists, big names. Some of you, if you're in the fine arts, will know them. Some of you who are not in fine art, you may not recognize them, but their talent is amazing. Spectrum is ready to go once these problems are resolved. We're anticipating a launch by the end of the month, but the trouble right now technically is the multi-wallet system. Right? That is a revolutionary piece of tech. No one else does it, and it is sort of foundational to what we see NFTs becoming later on. It is part of the bigger picture. We can't launch it without the multi-wallet system because that's functionality that's really critical and core to what we're trying to achieve. If you think about it as a hub and spoke, Spectrum is at the center of the big picture, right? So that's where you guys will see most of the value drawn from the big picture is going to come through Spectrum, which financially speaking is the one you draw the most benefit from because the profits are shared in much larger quantity and percentage-wise than the other products individually. Though we will still get product individual contributions as well. So that's all of the updates I have. John, do we have anybody from BilliDrop that's going to be joining us on the stage, or are we inviting that person up?
Yeah, we do, and thanks for those updates. I'm stoked for all of it, especially the idea of being able for an artist being able to hold on to the royalties and even to divvy the royalties up amongst numerous wallets, be it for their their child's college fund, a family member, a business partner, whoever it may be. That's just that's massive for
I
artists
can't,
to have.
I cannot exclaim loud enough that the multi-wallet system is going to be revolutionary, and we are the only ones who have it. We're the only ones that I know of that have even thought of it, and the application for it goes beyond what even you just mentioned, but even that is pretty bullish stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait to dig into it myself. So yeah, so now we're going to invite our guest up. So and when I asked her, how should I introduce you? Um, she said that she is but a messenger goat bringing good news from her shepherd. So with that, everyone, I introduce to you a representative from BilliDrop. How are we doing tonight? We cannot hear you if you are speaking.
I'm trying to communicate in a different voice. Sorry.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can
Yes,
hear you
I hear you
wonderfully.
now.
Hi, how are you? How's everyone goading along today?
I love it. Here come the goat puns. I'm
Yep,
so ready.
living my best life.
Uh, just to introduce myself, I'm Heather. I'm from BilliDrop. And as John mentioned, I've been sent here today to bring to the PCC flock the good news from our shepherd. All kidding aside, we'd like to start off by thanking B25 from the PCC community for being our BilliDrop disciple in this Discord. You can say we've really been putting our horns to the grindstone over the past few weeks, and having Vinny here act as our go-to goat for updates on our progress and answering questions from the community has given us more time to focus on getting things properly ready. So thank you, Vinny, for being a real goat-getter. As some of you might have noticed, there's been a few Easter eggs hidden on our countdown page and perhaps elsewhere. And a couple of them have been found by PCC members. As a reward for being exceptionally clever goats, we'll be doing some giveaways over the next few days with XRP Toro and Ironfield, who were the first two members to find some of our Easter eggs. We did a duck race yesterday with XRP Toro for the first Easter egg that he found, and he won $249 in USDC. We'll have a replay of that posted to our socials shortly, and hopefully the next giveaways, we're going to live stream them over on Twitter. We'll let you know when and where that will be happening. And as much as we enjoy being elusive and mysterious, imminently, and those are NFTs, the GOAT game, and of course the lottery, all of which will work in combination with each other to give players a unique and engaging DeFi gaming experience. So I'll start off with the NFTs. BilliGoat NFTs won't just be a pretty goat to look at. NFT holders will receive special drops and access to the GOAT game, but most importantly, the NFT is going to act as a multiplier when entering the prize draws. So if you have a BilliGoat NFT with, let's say, a 3x multiplier, you'll get 3 entries instead of 1 for every entry purchase. The NFTs will also give players exclusive access to the GOAT game. The GOAT game is going to be a place where BilliGoat owners can play to level up their goats to increase their prize pool entry multipliers. Players will be able to acquire food for their hungry goats with native tokens or by playing skill-based games to keep them and their goats entertained and well-fed. Players will also have the opportunity to battle other goats for supremacy in the PvP goat arena to claim more rewards for their BilliGoat. And last but not least, the third product is the lottery, which is, of course, the first thing that we sort of introduced. Players will use fiat, stable, and native tokens to purchase entries into prize pool draws. Players will be able to watch the prize pools fill in real time and will have complete visibility as to how and where that prize money is awarded. Once the prize pool is full, a winning entry is automatically drawn using a provably random draw system. Unlike traditional lottery giveaway systems, using blockchain-based draws gives full accountability and transparency as to where ticket purchase funds go. We're going to be taking, or BilliDrop will be taking, a 10% administration cost. We have to feed our goats too, from ticket purchases, with the rest going directly to the prize pool. Prize pool winners will receive the full amount of the pool in stablecoin, and distribution is going to be public and visible to everyone. We'll be sharing the launch dates for each of these products with the community. But for now, stay tuned. At the end of the AMA, I'll have a few more quick announcements as to what everyone can participate in today.
Thank you so much, Heather. And you know, am I correct? You guys are building on which blockchain? Is it Polygon?
Yep.
That's awesome. And there has been some question about, you know, is this going to just be giveaways that are accessible to, you know, primarily people who are very engaged in the crypto space, or is it going to be easy for people who are kind of, you know, outside of the crypto space as well?
No, we're going to make it very accessible for anyone. So obviously the primary market is going to be people within the crypto space, but it's meant to be widely available and easy to access for everyone.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the update. Yeah, we greatly appreciate it. You know, BilliDrop is often mentioned as one of the most, you know, highly anticipated projects that PCC is working with. And I know everyone, you know, myself included, is super excited to see what you guys come up with. And like you said, everyone, she will be coming back on stage at the very end of the AMA to make some more announcements. So make sure you stick around for that. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to, do you have anything else you'd like to add, Heather, before we kick you back down to the audience?
Nope, send me back to pasture.
All right, whatever floats your goat.
Ooh, I like that.
You know, I had to put one in there.
Yeah. That was clever. I like it. Was that off the cuff or did you plan that?
That was off the cuff. That was off the cuff,
Man,
but
you're good.
it's not my first rodeo. All right. Okay. Awesome. So, and with that, we are going to be moving on to the pre-submitted question portion of this. So, Eric, are you ready?
Ready as I will be.
Awesome. All right. So, like we mentioned earlier, these are all questions that come directly from you guys and guys and gals, and you know, they're upvoted by the community. We just take the questions that are, you know, we can't answer them all. I think there's some 70, 80 questions in there. So we just grab the ones that are top, seem like the most pressing and the most relevant to the time. So we're going to get to a handful of those right now. So first one, someone is just wanting to hear more update about the progress of the utility of the Fire token. Could you elaborate on that a little bit for us, Eric?
I sure can. So currently the utility of Fire token includes, it can be a store of value, is a store of value. It is a way for paying for Airbnb in Portugal. There is a particular group in Portugal that is allowing the payment of the fees or the rental costs and can be paid out in Fire token, among other tokens, but it's in there. It can be used to purchase round 2 nests. We do have plans in the future to use Fire in Combat Waffle Studios' game Ghost of Tabor. That has been discussed early on and has been a concept for an economic system from within that game that we have. As last I heard, I don't have the latest and greatest from Scott. I'll get it and make another announcement if we need to. But latest and greatest I heard from that one was still, I think, Q1 2023 for launch. So we do have some other stuff in store for the Fire token besides just nest creation.
Wonderful. And I know, you know, in marketing, we've been in touch with Scott, and we actually have some updates from their team that we're going to be releasing next week on just, you know, various initiatives and progress of the project.
I wish I could share it all. I wish I could share it all. It looks amazing. I've seen some of the concept. I've seen some, not concept. I've seen some of the finished product. I've seen some of the gameplay. I personally want to play it. I really do. My son too, my 12-year-old son, and I want to play this game desperately.
Yeah, I don't own an Oculus, but I think this might be the tipping point for me to get involved. So yeah, I'm thrilled myself. All right, moving on to question number 2. Here we go. We were told a couple of weeks ago in an AMA that the CFO will release, you know, the approximate of profits and I guess profit projections by the end of June. Is that still the plan, Eric, as far as you know?
Yeah. So our current CFO, Marcus, is doing an absolutely amazing job. As well as evaluating our current financial status as a company, he's conducting an internal analysis and a workforce analysis to make sure that we are absolutely as efficient as we can be. Regarding the profits expected for the end of June, the next question really addresses that. So let's take a look at that one and see if we can dig into that. So 2 and 3 kind of go together.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Number 3 is, do we still have plans to airdrop at the end of June? And kind of a, onto that is, what would be a more reasonable forecast for June and the first few months as far as airdrops are concerned?
Okay, so the intention absolutely is still to do an airdrop at the end of June. It will be in USDC.E, as we do not have our PCC stablecoin created yet. We have a lot of irons in the fire. The big push right now is to get Spectrum done. So all of our developers are currently tasked with getting that finalized and ready for market as quickly as possible. So we haven't got the stablecoin that we talked about creating a few AMAs ago, but we're working on that as a secondary objective to Spectrum. Now, we need to be honest with ourselves. I've said this in the text in the chat, and I think I mentioned it on a previous AMA. The markets are in turmoil. We've had delays on the launch of Spectrum. So in June, Swapsicle is the only project that we expect to deliver any kind of reasonable revenue. Now, it launched at the end of May and is doing very well as a startup. Its total volume locked, TVL, on 13 June was just over 2.16 million, which shows healthy growth in just 2 weeks. And I think everyone needs to sit back and relax and realize that's just in 2 weeks, all right? It's a brand new startup. It just got started. No one's ever heard of it, and they are doing amazing things over there. Now, as everyone knows, we get 15% of transaction fees on the DEX. And that stands for Decentralized Exchange, for those who may not know. The transaction fees on the DEX are 0.3% of its transaction volume. So it's 15% of 0.3%. This will be sent out to us monthly, and each nest will get 1/100,000th of that total amount. So we're looking at an approximation of based on daily volumes of $240,000 a day. We'll make this approximation at about 3.2 cents per nest. We are not expecting a high amount per nest, but we do expect there to be a higher and higher rewards each month as the project grows and projects are launched that they're supporting. This is long-term passive income. I've said that from day one, from multiple sources. All the pieces will eventually produce a good return, but it does take time. So if anyone out there is hanging on to the idea or the concept that we're going to be dealing with something like a $10 or $30 per nest per month, that's not going to happen in the first month of any startup. I can't point to any startup and say that they had record revenues and market share in the first month of operation, whether that be Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, name any of the big companies and go back and look at their very first month of operation, and it's not going to be anywhere near what it is now. The idea is long-term growth and multiple revenue streams to support that growth so that we can compound into a stable passive income. If you go back to the early AMAs, you guys will hear me in my beautiful voice saying early on, this is not a millionaire minting machine. It is passive income. It's not meant to create millions and millions and millions of dollars per person return in the span of 6 months. That's an unrealistic expectation. So temper expectations with reality. They're doing amazing work over there. They're growing day after day after day. So keep that in mind with the expectations of the payouts in the first month of returns.
Yeah, and I think we can all understand, and the payouts obviously come from our partners and other incubation projects, and obviously they have to be live in order to be generating that. And so, we have updates coming from BilliDrop. We just had updates from about Spectrum, so I think and a lot of this was planned before just the market, the bottom of the market just dropped out, and there's a lot happening globally that affects everybody. We are not immune to market conditions, so I think it's healthy to temper expectations. And do you have anything else you want to add to the profit projections, or do you want to move on from that as far as the CFO goes?
So there was a question that came up in the general chat during that answer that I gave, and I want to address it. So salaries are not paid from the ROI on these investments, right? So you guys may be familiar with other projects that are similar to ours that have been operating about as long as we have, some maybe a little bit longer. We do not take anything from the Treasury or the return on investment from Treasury to pay operating expenses, business expenses, salaries, hosting fees, any of that stuff, right? We do not take. So you guys get all of that back from the Treasury investment. That's for you. We don't take salaries from that. We don't take business expenses from that. We take business expenses and salaries from our maintenance fee that we collect on the Nest. That's how we pay for operating expenses. So that was one of the questions that came up. I wanted to make sure that you guys are absolutely aware of that.
And, I think it's another important point of clarity that the operating expense wallet doesn't just pay salaries, does it? It pays for the applications, the infrastructure, tons of stuff. It's not just designated for salaries. Is that correct, Eric?
Absolutely, 100% correct. Yes, it does not just pay salaries. It also pays our our monthly business expenses. We have legal fees. We have operating fees and infrastructure for the websites that we run, for security for those websites that we run. We host all of our services on cloud infrastructure. We operate with some of the partners in cybersecurity to make sure that those are secure. We have partnerships in place that we pay for with Certic. There are other expenses besides just salaries that go into the operations of this company.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks. I know that's something that's been discussed a little bit. I think that's an important point of clarity there. So thank you. Moving on to the next question. This person would love to know how many incubator projects does PCC plan to have by the end of the year? Did you catch that, Eric? You still with us?
Yeah, no, I think we skipped one. There was one before that. I don't want to do anybody a disservice here. I think we skipped one of the questions in the one.
Yeah, if you'll answer, yeah, you're right. I'll go back.
Above that. I think we skipped that one.
Yeah, so if you'll answer this one, I'll jump back to that one. I scrolled the page too quickly.
So right now we're looking at 3 that I know of, but we're also evaluating consistently and constantly other investment opportunities. So right now it's 3 that I know of. We review and evaluate everything that passes the first sniff test. To be honest, the initial sniff test is the give me the why and sort of the what you think you can bring to the table or what we're looking for. Sometimes we go looking for them, and just based on what we think we need for the bigger picture items that we're looking at. But right now I know there's 3 that we're working on for sure. And I can't tell you how many might get added to that before the end of the year this year. And that's calendar year 2022. So end of year, calendar year 2022, January 1, 2023 being the beginning of a new year.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So yeah, I'll jump back to that other question. All right. Once everything is up and running with incubated projects and partnerships, can we get a live profit ticker showing the profit that is coming in separated into the different incubator projects? That way people can gauge how much profit they can expect, per month.
Yeah, we've talked about this in the past. We're working on I know it. I know it seems challenging, but the idea is that we have developers working on certain things, and then we reorganize or retask them or reprioritize their tasks. So right now, developing a tracking system is not as important as getting Spectrum NFT Marketplace up and running. So the people who were working on the tracking system have been retasked, and that's no longer a primary objective for them. The idea of real time, and I imagine this is something like a stock ticker is the question. Sort of like updated every few seconds with the real world data to give real world value of that stock. No, we're not going to have real world value on that information. Frankly, it would be very complicated to develop that from a technical standpoint to track that, because you'd have to do several calls against a blockchain data that you may not be tracking accurately. We do take moments of data. So what we're looking at is paid out monthly. Because of gas fees, we're not taking money from, say, SwapSQL, for instance. We're not getting a daily drop from those guys or even a live drop from that, because every time they transact a transaction, if we were to take a portion of that, it would cost gas fees to transfer from their wallet to our wallet. So what we're going to see is a once a month transaction due to the high cost of gas fees if we did it live. And so we won't have the data to track it until it shows up in our wallet. And that's when we'll have the data to track. So live, no. Current and updated on a monthly basis, yes. If that makes sense.
Very much so, yeah.
So,
Greatly.
yeah, not real time. Not real time every day, every second, no.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. So now we have a series of 3 questions that all have to pertain to, they're legal questions. So we're going to ask these together. And we have consulted our company lawyer to make sure what we're telling you is accurate. So what legal rights do Nest holders have to the share of profits generated by PCC?
Okay, so Nests provide membership to our services. The membership grants access to rewards that correlate to profits generated by Phoenix incubation projects. The rewards are a right granted by the membership. So let me say that again, because I kind of stumbled through it here. Because I promise I am reading a statement prepared by the corporate attorney. So I'm not answering legal questions. If you guys ask any live questions in the AMA and their legal questions, I'm going to tell you the same thing. I'm going to defer to legal counsel on all of those. So these are prepared statements. I'm going to read through it again because I kind of muffled reading through it the first time. Nests provide membership to our services. The membership grants access to rewards that correlate to profits generated by Phoenix incubation projects. The rewards are a right granted by the membership.
Wonderful. And that leads into our next question. And what percentage of all profits is set aside for distribution to Nest holders?
Okay. So Phoenix is a private company, and although we make every effort to pay out rewards to Nest holders, we can, at our discretion, utilize profits to prepare for future growth.
Short and sweet. I love it.
Short and sweet. I'm just reading the answers that were provided by the legal counsel. So that's what you guys are going to get. You ask legal questions, you're going to get legal answers. I'm sorry.
And then here's the final legal question. What are community members' legal rights regarding partnerships and incubators that were funded via our ops wallet and not the treasury wallet?
Okay, so legally speaking, the Nest only gives rights to the community treasury profits. However, we have, over the past several months, funded the creation of incubation projects out of the operations wallet. I'm going to ad-lib a little bit here and say, as we initially said and notated in our infographic, operations wallet, if it became excessive, would be used for investment and investment, profit generating investments for the benefit of the community. And that's what we've done. So if you look at Combat Waffle Studios, I think, John, you released the infographic recently that shows what we have and how it was paid for. So Combat Waffle Studios provides a benefit to the nest holders, was never actually paid from Treasury. It was paid from Operations Wallet. Spectrum NFT Marketplace, same thing. Not a single dollar has been used from the Treasury to fund Spectrum NFT Marketplace. It's all been handled out of the operation budget. So while we do use that money for business expenses and operations, we also use it to benefit the investors and make sure that you have reasonably good paying investments that necessarily didn't come from the Treasury. We've always been open and very transparent about how we're going to spend funds.
And, even though legally speaking, the nest only gives rights to the community, treasury profits, we have committed that even if we, made our investment through the ops wallet, is it correct that we are still going to return those profits to the community, even though, legally speaking, it might not be required, but it's still our commitment to the community.
Yes.
That's correct, Eric?
Yes, it is at our discretion, but we have decided early on that this was for the benefit of the community, not for the benefit of myself and Luke or any other team members individually.
Fair enough.
That was the basis of what we created this project on, and we still live by that ethos today.
That's wonderful, man. All right, just a few more questions so these next two are more technical questions. Is there a time frame for when we will regain the ability to do single nest claims?
Yes, not at the immediate moment or in the immediate future. So doing so requires another update to the smart contract. For those who don't know, smart contracts, once they're deployed in the blockchain, are not editable, right? So if you're familiar with continuous development, continuous integration type software deployments or software as a service, where they can do updates to currently deployed or existing software, blockchain does not allow for that. So anytime you make a change, you have to, unless you've written it in as a variable in the program, if you want to make a change, you have to deploy a new smart contract. So that speaks a little bit to one of the, well, I shouldn't say one of the, that speaks a little bit to I'm trying to figure out the right word to use here. We turned off single nest claim for a reason, and it will be turned back on in version 4, which we are working on currently, along with several other updates as well. So I don't have a timeline for that right now. I know that the progress is ongoing, but it was single nest claim was turned off intentionally, and it will be re-enabled in a future smart contract update.
Now, going along with that, this next question is related to that. Part of this update to the smart contract, the question is, and I think everyone will like this answer, as of right now, when a claim is initiated, the smart contract always claims, nest number 1 first. This person wants to know if it is possible to make a change to where you can claim from the nest with the highest amount of rewards, and then it goes down to the nest with the second highest amount, and then so on and so on, instead of it just default nest 1, nest 2, nest 3. Can you talk a little bit about that, Eric, and as far as what the V4 updates will have?
Yes, I can. So V4 contract features include a claim all function, which can be based on a list provided by the user. So you'll be able to manually select which nest you want to and do not want to claim from.
That's awesome. That's something I know, just from being, in the community and engaging with the community. There's been a lot of asks about being able to kind of customize which nests you're claiming at a time, and so I think that'll be a very gratefully appreciated feature. We have 2 more questions, and then we'll move on to the live AMA. So this is short and sweet. What is the incentive to acquire a round 2 nest when we haven't seen round 1 profits and the fees are currently high compared to with the way the market conditions are?
So this is an interesting one, and we went back and forth on this one during our pre-AMA planning meeting. Unfortunately, I cannot provide an answer to this because it would be myself giving financial advice. I cannot give any financial advice. All I can tell you is to individually weigh the risks and benefits. And if you feel like you want to invest and you select a certain value for yourself that you want to invest, make sure that it's a fully informed decision based on as much information as you can possibly gather.
That's fair enough. Thanks. And then last question. When the investment made into a project is returned, where does that returned capital go? This question has multiple parts. Does it go to the treasury from which it came, or will it go to the treasury for the then current round? Just for example, could it create a scenario where, for instance, round 1 could make another investment even though PCC is on, round 3 at the time, say?
Yeah, so this is really an accounting situation. Initially, the intention was to have it go back to the treasury. However, upon further consideration from an accounting perspective, we're considering and will most likely create a different new wallet to cover the ROI so that we don't have to account for what in the treasury is new investment capital versus what is ROI that should be paid out to the nest holders. So we're most likely going to pull that into a new and different wallet just to make accounting for it easier prior to distribution.
Yeah, and once that wallet's created, obviously we will, give that information out to the community for full transparency.
Absolutely, yes. As we've done with all of our wallets that we have, that we use, we'll share that wallet with the community as well. Everything we do is completely transparent on the blockchain. So everyone has access to that we've shared the wallet since day one, and everyone can view and see what they are.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, that's it for the pre-submitted questions. We definitely, we know there's more that were submitted, but we also want to make sure we have time for the live questions. Eric, how are we doing for time on your end?
I've got about 25 minutes, so let's go 15 after the hour.
Okay.
If we want to do some questions there, that should give us enough time to grab as many questions as we can. If we get just an absolutely overwhelming number of questions, then I can stay on longer. But if we typically what's funny is we have several hundred participants, but we only get about maybe 10 people that raise their hand. So we're seeing a very small participation rate when it comes to actually asking questions during the AMAs. So if you feel like we're not answering a question you want to ask, the burden is on you to raise your hand and make the question known. Otherwise, the 10 or 11 people that usually raise their hand are the only ones we're going to call on.
Yeah, and so, as it stands right now, I don't believe anyone has their hand up, which might be the first time in PCC.
That's the first time first time I've ever seen it that way. So just for those who may not know, if you're on the app in Discord and you're looking at the bottom, there is a little hand icon at the bottom. If you want to ask a question, push that button and it will raise your hand, digitally speaking. We'll bring you up on stage and let you ask your question, and I'll give you an answer. But right now, nobody has their hand raised.
Interesting.
It's incredibly interesting. I've never seen it like this. Nobody has any questions.
People have to have questions.
Hang on one second. Somebody said the hand icon is grayed out. Let me see if there is.
No, it's open on our end, but we have some people. All right, so we have some people raising their hands. I just want to give real quick.
It's really weird. I'm seeing a lot of people raise their hands and they're immediately getting removed from the list. John, do you have a icon in the top right that says allow requests from @everyone?
Yeah, and it's on, and I'm seeing people come in, and there's some people jumping in and jumping out, but a couple of them are staying. So we'll get someone up on stage, but I just wanted to make a quick reminder. You know, we will pick on you based on when you raised your hand. It orders in the order that people raise their hand. If you frequent our AMAs and you come up regularly, we may skip over you just to get to new people. So don't take offense to that. And when we send you an invite, there's going to be an icon that, a green bar that pops across your screen that you have to accept. If you have trouble finding it and it takes you a little bit too long to join us, we're going to have to move on to the next person. And when you ask your question, lastly, we will kick you back down to the audience as soon as you ask your question, so that we don't kind of have too much back and forth, and a lot of people sometimes end up having 3 to 5 questions. So 1 question a person. And with that said, Colt 45, I'm going to invite you onto the stage.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning too, John, that we're not accepting questions for BilliDrop. I know Heather has another announcement to make, but we're not taking questions for our BilliDrop representative tonight. Is that correct?
That is what she communicated to me. So all questions will be PCC related. She's just on stage so that she can be here for her announcement at the very end of the AMA. So Colt 45, how we doing?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing excellent, man. Thank
Living
you.
my best life, man. Trying the best I can every day.
I want to say thank you guys for putting a fire token at a discount price right now so we can get extra. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
We didn't do that, actually. The fire token price is completely dictated by the community. We
By the
don't have
market, yes,
any
sir.
effect of that. So
Yes, sir. No, I'm just messing around with you guys. But has that affected you guys at all in your investments going forward? Has it slowed it down at all? Or how does that token price? Because I know it affects us, but nobody asked the question of how does that affect Phoenix Community Capital?
yeah, we used to, in the first tokenomics round in version 2 smart contract, we had a component which was very common amongst our peers at the time to sell the token in order to raise capital. We moved away from that, and now we collect investment capital in the way of fees. I don't know which one it is exactly. I think it's the maintenance fee. So when you pay the maintenance fee, a portion of that goes to investment capital. So we remove reliance on the token price. We've also removed any influence on the token price negatively. So we don't sell the token at all. When you make a claim, you pay a claim fee, and part of that claim fee actually buys the token to add to liquidity. So we have an inherent buy mechanism built into the contract.
Wonderful. And that's actually a really good question. Thanks for coming up and asking that. Next, we have one of our flames on deck. So I'm going to invite you on the stage.
On to deck.
Boom, there you are. How we doing?
I'm doing good. You can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
Yes,
you just
hear
fine.
you.
Perfect. Thank you. So I have a question regarding transparency and market leadership. So PCC as a company is incorporated and has done a good job in terms of negotiating with incubators, potential partners. There are contracts that are signed with Wet Ink. They're reviewed by legal. There are NDAs that are put in place. So the relationships that you've been building with the partners has been excellent, and I'm happy to see that. The concern I have as an investor is the relationships that have been built with us as a community. We don't have the legal guarantees. We don't have contracts that are signed. We're subject to the whims of a smart contract. And as we've seen, rewards can change. The project can respond to market conditions and different opportunities and make decisions. My concern is how, going forward, will PCC strengthen the relationship that they have with the investors, which is us, in terms of defining our legal rights to rewards. And when I say rewards, I mean airdrops, because predominantly that's what the project will be paying out long term.
Correct. Yeah. So this actually kind of echoes an earlier question that we answered in the pre-screen questions about what the legal rights are for nest holders. And I'm happy to read the statement again, but it was really, you're entitled to the profits that are generated from the treasury investments. And the rewards are a right of membership. The nest represents a membership in participation in the investment. And that's how we track and pay out the rewards. I did make a note as well, because there was a question asked in the general chat during the explanation of that question, that when we get profits back from the projects that we've invested in, they go back to the investors. We don't take anything back for ourselves from those. So we don't pay any of our operating expenses or business expenses from those. They go back to you. So that's where the legal right to rewards comes from, if that makes sense to the person that asked it. And I don't see him on stage anymore. That's right. So yeah, that's really just kind of echoes the earlier question. I don't think there's more to expand upon there, and I'm hesitant to, as I said earlier, if you ask a legal question, you're going to get a legal answer, and I'm not going to deviate much from what the legal counsels have determined the answers to be for legal questions.
And, and I can comment, at least from the marketing side, the marketing team, which includes Jordan and our director of communications, we are all, active and passionate community members. And, there's been changes internally, obviously, as when, our CMO left. So we're filling that gap, and our goal and aim is to increase and constantly be making our communication and engagement with our community, just have that be improving, constantly as we move forward. So you should notice some changes as far as, how we're interacting and how we engage with the community. But thank you for the question. All right, we have Sam I Am. I'm going to invite you up to speak. Welcome, Sam I Am. Your microphone is muted.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. How you guys doing?
Doing well, man. Thanks.
Doing good.
Good. Glad to hear. So when I first invested, my visions with PCC was different than what it is now. So easy question. And I know a lot of people want to know the answer to this, but what are your intentions, or what are, how do I phrase this? When are we going to receive more communication about Nest buybacks? Because I know that you guys mentioned it before. I don't know if it's still on the table or not, but for the people that want to get out, what would be, I guess, the ideal scenario?
Yeah, so it's come up several times. We've mentioned that we were looking at the possibility of doing something like that. There was a couple of different options we discussed. One was a buyback option from PCC itself. We, frankly, to be honest with you, don't have the capital to run a business and investments and buy back people's nests that previously invested. So the more prevailing concept at the moment is a public market for which you could trade to another person. And that's been sort of put on the back burner, and it requires additional development work. It's not something we can just do a transfer right now. It's something that requires a little bit more development work so that we can, the biggest problem being is that right now you could do it. You could technically sell somebody your wallet. But the problem there is that what if you had, you've got to share that wallet with someone who has the seed phrase. So the original owner is not going to relinquish the seed phrase, or you have no reasonable guarantee that the original owner is going to relinquish the seed phrase. There's an internal conversation or concept that we are looking at for third-party mechanisms and selling mechanisms for selling a nest. We are not going to do a buyback from PCC. And if we did, and I'm not saying we're going to, but if we did, it would be at current market values. It would not be sort of like if you're thinking that there's going to be a mechanism in place for essentially a refund, that's not going to happen. There is no refund. Every investment carries with it risk of loss. And if the investment hasn't turned out the way you wanted it to, I'd say wait just a little bit longer. And because the concept has been since day one that this was passive income and it's meant to grow over time. And if you're not capable or willing to put in the time, then, I could see you wanting a way out, but there is no refund mechanism where you're going to say you bought a nest for like $4,000. We're not going to pay you $4,000 for your nest. If that makes sense to the person that asked. So the short answer is we're working on a mechanism. It's not a priority at the moment because of the other priorities that we have facing us. If anything comes of it, it's going to be a third-party selling mechanism, maybe a marketplace, and then the market's going to dictate the price on what you sell it at. So no refund mechanisms in place. You guys are not going to get sort of like a buyback where we're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars to buy back one nest from you because that's the price you bought it for. If we did anything, it would probably be a third-party market system.
Thank you, Eric. We have about 5 minutes left. We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, about 7 people who have questions. So we're going to just see how many we can get through. And I want to
keep going. I can keep going. We don't have a very long list here. Let's just say last one in is at the bottom of the list. For me, that's Ginger Phoenix. Is that you?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so let's call Ginger Phoenix last one in. So if you don't have your hand raised at the moment, then sorry, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more, and then we're gonna call it done after this.
And for Heather with BilliDrop, I know your time is valuable. I don't want to keep you here longer than you want. Are you okay waiting until we get through the 7, or do you want to go ahead and make your announcement? I will take that as you're okay to wait for now. So, all right, moving on to Factory. I'm going to invite you up. Invitation has been sent. Going to give you a couple seconds, then we got to move on.
I don't see them on the list anymore.
Okay, so moving on to Blind Man. Welcome, Blind Man. How are we doing? Your microphone is still muted at the bottom left. There you go.
Got it. Is that a little better now?
That's
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. I can hear you just fine.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
I can't hear you all very well, but I'm going to go ahead and put it right up to my ear and ask you anyway. My question is in the way regulations are changing, not just in the United States, but globally, and with IP licenses and IP trademarks and patents, how is the Reggie Middleton patent for DeFi that he was granted in Japan and the United States about a month and a half ago going to affect the operations of Phoenix Capital?
It's an interesting question. So I'm not personally familiar with the granting of was it copyright?
It was a granting of the DeFi patent.
A patent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a question for legal counsel, and I don't have the ability to give you an answer to that right now, frankly, because it requires a legal decision or a legal choice or a judgment made on that. I can tell you that we're going to, in the future, as well as currently, as well as in the past, do our absolute best to adhere to all regulatory compliance and legal standards as set forth in the countries that we operate in.
Yeah, and I'm pretty confident that you guys are and will, because you seem very full, you have a lot of integrity, which I highly respect. My main thing was about the DeFi patent itself, that it might be, I know that you can't give an answer to that because it's totally a legal question, but it just might be in a PCC's best interest to just have them investigate it and, find out about it. That's basically, I just wanted to just bring it to your attention.
Yeah, can you give me the name one more time?
His name is Reggie Middleton.
Reggie Middleton. Okay.
And the project is called Veritasium. He
Awesome.
he was actually sued by the SEC about 3 years ago, before Ripple and all the rest of them that the good old SEC is going after. But it's a very interesting climate that we're in right now, and as you're all aware, besides the
Yeah.
crashing of the market.
You may have heard me typing. I actually just sent a message over to get that to the legal team, to get them to review that, because I'm not even aware of that. And it hasn't been an issue that I'm aware of in the last 6 months, but we'll investigate it. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, and we'll
Oh.
do whatever we can to make sure that we operate in the bounds of the regulations and the laws as usual.
Yeah, great question. All right, we have As Zaman. Invitation has been sent. There we go. How are we doing today?
All right. Hey, good evening, good afternoon, morning.
Hi, good evening, Eric. It was nice to join your AMA. I just wanted to get an idea of where you think this project is going to be in, say, 5 years' time. I know we don't have a crystal ball, but where do you see it going, and how do you see this playing out?
I can tell you what we've been doing the last couple of months with regard to trajectory. I can't tell you where we're going to be in 5 years. I can tell you where I want to be in 5 years, but that would be sort of a, what do they call those? Future statements that I have to put a whole lot of restrictions around and basically give you guys a paragraph of qualifiers for that statement. Future viewing statements are not investment advice, nothing's guaranteed, blah, 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 et cetera, legal jargon. We're currently working with several world governments and agencies around those governments. We are in a very interesting position. Luke and myself have been to several countries, as many of you know. Those were never, by the way, vacations or parties or, fun time just to go jet set around the planet. We've been meeting with nation state governments and, nation state agencies to try and influence Web3 for the future. Part of what our goal is here is to develop a singular vision or mindset about what Web3 is and what it can be and what it should be for the future. And we're developing alongside those government agencies the frameworks that we can operate in very successfully. And I think we're going to be first to market. I don't think anyone else is really thinking about it in the way that we are and in the scale and global scale that we are, pushing in at least 3 continents right now, and we're pushing into multiple countries within those continents. So we're connected high up. I cannot express this enough. We are connected highly and influencing nations and nation governments to develop Web3 and Web3 advantages, not only for ourselves, but for society, and defining what it should look like and what it can be. So that's the goal, is to push products and services that service mankind in a very positive way alongside government agencies as they write the framework policies for how Web3 should operate. If I had to define the company in 5 years, if we succeed, then maybe we're a household name, maybe we're not, but we're definitely a heavy influencer of what Web3 looks like in the modern world. And by the way, it absolutely blows my mind that we're having conversations at the levels that we're having. Like, my expectation was to get here in 5 years. We've done it in 6 months. We're today, we had a 5-year roadmap when Luke and I started the company, and we are today now where I thought we would be in 4 or 5 years. We're already doing it. So it's mind blowing.
And if you check out the metaverse-week.com and check out the list of speakers for this event that Luke and a number of our C-suite are attending, you will get an idea of just the caliber of individuals that they are sharing, tables with right now. And it's all with PCC and Web3 and just the community, at the forefront of the intentions there. So Definitely, I encourage you to check that out just as a small taste of what they're working on. All right, here we go. We got Gage inviting you to speak. How we doing, Gage?
First and foremost, I appreciate your transparency throughout the market turmoil. I've understood you've moved AVAX to USDC within the Treasury. I know PCC is partnered with Camp One Ventures, and as you know, part of their portfolio includes Passfolio and Mobius. To be specific, on June 8th, Mobius posted an update that they looked into launching an AVAX subnet, but decided against it when they learned it's run on a centralized validator permission list. With that said, does that cause you any concern in regards to Avalanche's survival over the long haul?
I'm not personally aware of that, so I can't really speak to it. You're saying, can you elaborate what you mean by the centralized permissions?
Yes, it was an article that Mobius actually posted on June 8th. They've been following Stellar's smart contract development, and they've also considered launching their own blockchain. But I did see they mentioned the possibility of running on an Avalanche subnet, but they just decided against it specifically because they stated they learned it's run on a centralized validator permission list. So I was just wondering if that caused you any concern for Avalanche in the long haul. That's all.
Anyone can create a Avalanche validator node. We've actually looked at doing it ourselves. I don't know what you mean by a centralized permission list. Is the idea that it's exclusive, that you can't run an Avalanche validator without being part of this permission list?
I believe that's what they meant. Yes.
Okay, Luke and I looked into that several months ago as as an investment opportunity. First of all, it didn't pay enough to make it worthwhile for the community, so we kind of skipped on it. But the process that we went through didn't seem to lend itself to the idea that it was somehow exclusive or somewhat like it wasn't gonna be granted only if they decided that you could do it. It was pretty much open to whoever had enough tokens. Now at the time, it represented something like a $200,000 investment to do that. So running a validator node was not cheap, and the return on investment was a lot lower than we wanted it to be for that level of investment. But I never saw that personally. I wonder where I'll have to look into that and talk to Matting and Camp One and see where that came from, if there's a recommendation on it.
Cool. Okay. Well, I appreciate your answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming up.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, Gorilla CMD coming at you. Welcome. How we doing?
How's it, man? My name, oh, never mind. Well, I'm from South Africa. I think I invested at the height of the FIRE token. Spent quite a bit of money getting into FIRE, and I can't say I'm disappointed, but I'm just quite shocked at the results of the first airdrop. When can we expect like something at least decent, like $1 a day per nest or something? I don't even know what to ask, man, but yeah, sis, for me, I put a lot of money in this project. Even coming from South Africa, money is hard to come by, and yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. So
Money is hard to come by everywhere. It's not unique.
I understand that. I know.
To where you're from, yeah. The thing I would tell you is that we are very sympathetic to the idea. The entire market has gone down. It's not just us. Now we've gone down, over the past couple of months as far as market value. So we've been watching that as well. What's happening is people were selling their rewards for token value, and they're extracting the value from the liquidity by selling, which kind of lopsides and unbalances the liquidity pair. So that's where the transfer of wealth was going, not necessarily from us. The incubators, you have to keep in mind, as I said earlier, these are brand new projects and companies that we have just started. I would start to look somewhere in like year 1 to 2 So after we've been operating for 12 months to maybe year two, 24 months, you'd start to see something a lot more substantial. But the very first airdrop should be tempered by the expectation that these are brand new companies and they're not going to produce record level revenues respective to their market share in the first month of operation. So
Understood.
that's
Can I
context I
say,
can give you.
can I just say one more thing? In future, all I ask is that could you guys please be careful on the statements you make, regardless of whatever platform you're using to speak, because there was talks of buybacks before, and that gives you kind of a bit more confidence knowing that you're buying into something that someone who's selling it believes in what they're doing, and is willing to actually buy their nest back if you're unhappy, you know. So I'm just saying, just be careful. I want to trust you guys. I want to continue to invest more in Phoenix Community Capital. But just, yeah, man, just be careful of the statements you'll make. Even with the $10, if it's not $10 a day, it would be a failure and whatever so forth that I think Luke shared before. Just please be careful. And just allow us to trust you. And just do us right, please. And I can wait a year or two, but as I say, just do us right. And just be honest and clear, and no more stuff that will actually entice us. Just give us facts, and that's all from me.
Understood. Thank you for sharing.
All right. And so we,
There's actually three guests waiting to be heard. I think we said this is
Yeah.
the last one. All right. So there's two more. Unfortunately, we've got to cut it off at some point, or we'd be here for much longer. But yeah, the last two. Sorry, guys. The last one is Ginger Phoenix. Let's invite Ginger Phoenix up, and then we'll let Heather make her announcement for BilliDrop, and then we're going to call it a night.
Hey guys, how you going?
Going fantastic. How are you today?
Well, thanks. Well, sorry about my voice, guys. I'm a bit crook at the moment. I have a question which came up some time ago in the community and had really good support for the question, but never really made it into an AMA. So I wanted to ask it now. It's basically around the world economy at the moment. I think a lot of people can see that there's probably quite difficult times ahead. Like inflation and debt levels and all that sort of stuff. And I just want to know, is PCC taking such conditions into consideration when forming investment strategies? And if so, how?
Yes, we are. We are aware of that. You guys may be familiar with Raul Paul's, with Raul Paul and his group. I'm drawing blanks on the name of it right now, unfortunately. If anybody can hit me with a text and tell me what the name of Raul Paul's group is, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head today. Maybe just a bit too much sun recently. Real Vision, that's what it is. Sorry, Real Vision. So yeah, Real Vision. Luke and I are both Blacklist members on Real Vision. We actually met and know Raul Paul as individuals. And we do attend macro events and listen to their guidance on macro conditions. So we do know what's going on in the macro world. We do listen to that advice as part of our overall advisory system, if you want to call it that. We get advice from several different components within the company and with the external parts of the company as well. And we're also, like I mentioned earlier, we're in discussion with a lot of the state governments and government agencies around the world. And so we're very, very clued in and familiar with what's going on. Our focus is to drive innovation for society in Web3 and help policymakers in those countries define what those society-driven Web3 interactions could and should look like. And we're positioning the company and the company projects and products to complement that vision that we're sharing with, I might say successfully, with those government agencies. So that's how we take that into effect and how we influence what's going on. In the more immediate near term, there's a lot of stuff that's outside of our control. And frankly, it's outside of everybody's control. I can't do anything to stop the war in Ukraine as a person any more than anybody else here can. We're obviously aware of it, and we're acting appropriately, but we're not trading in commodities and we're not trading in, stocks and futures and stuff like that. So it's a bit different. We're focused on a different outcome in a market that we think is going to press forward regardless of macro conditions.
Wonderful. And so that's that for the live AMA. We're going to hear from BilliDrop Heather one more time. She has an announcement she wants to make for everyone, so make sure you stick around for that. I just wanted to mention one quote that that our director of communications told us earlier from the Real Vision newsletter, and this is a quote from Mr. Fox. As competition declines, the same amount of work will take us much further in a bear than it would in a bull. So I'm going to leave you with that. And Heather, are you still with us? Give you a little time. You've been very, very patient. She's really building the suspense here. Can you tell? Oh, where the heck did she go? There she is.
Hi. Thank you so much for letting me come back on at the end to end things on a high note.
Well said.
I love it.
I see that some of you have noticed that some of my puns are pretty bad, but I like to kid around. And if you like my sense of humor and BilliDrop's sense of humor, I've sent a link over to John. We're going to be opening up the BilliDrop Discord to PCC community members for you guys to be first into our Discord. And as some of you have already noticed, so you've taken the wind out of my sails for this announcement, our website is now live. So you can find more information about all the product launches that I talked about today here on the website, and feel free to come into our Discord and ask some questions and go forth and prosper.
Absolutely
What
amazing.
is the website for those who haven't seen the website yet? What is that URL?
It is BilliDrop.com.
Wonderful. And I believe we have made an announcement. So if anyone who's curious, you can check our recent announcement and have a link to their Discord and BilliDrop.com. And I believe that just went live, did it not? Either way. Well, guys, everyone,
yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us this week. Jordan will be hosting next week as he'll be back in the UK. I appreciate you guys spending your evening with us. Eric, thanks for everything. And as always, I'll let you send off with a final message.
As always, be good to each other and keep having fun.
All right, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Take care, y'all.